Hi, I'm Nate. Thanks for stopping by and welcome to the first and possibly last ever Nate's Video Game Nook podcast. Today we've got a special guest. Have you met Ted? He is from the DB and Ted Show and DB's Arcade. He is Ted. How are you, my friend?
Hi, I'm doing great, Nate. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about your video game history. I've heard that you play lots and lots of games. Is that correct?
Okay, so I started collecting video games when I was probably, I don't know, 9 or 10. And I don't think I ever got rid of permanently any of my consoles. I might have traded up when my first console was NES. And then when Sega came out and Super Nintendo came out, I might have traded up to try and get the newest system. But I eventually bought them all back and I still use them.
That's amazing. So you would consider yourself a collector then? A retro collector or just a collector in general?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, it started out as current, and then as the term retro became a thing, I just kept with it. But I'll be honest with you, sometimes I question whether I'm a gamer because the term gamer has become to mean somebody who's like really into current stuff or is competitive, and there's all these subgenres like competitive gamer, casual gamer. I would consider myself casual, but I think collector really does, sum it up.
Very nice. To me, if you play video games, you're a gamer. For me, it doesn't matter if you play a game for once a month or every day of the month, you're a gamer.
Yeah.
If you like video games, if you continue buying video games, you're a gamer. I think that's all there is to it. So I don't really put labels on it outside of either I play video games or I don't. So you're good, my friend. You're good.
Awesome. That's good to know.
So with that in mind, what games have you played in 2025?
This is our year in retrospective.
Yes.
All right. So I had to be honest with what I said. Some of the stuff I played might have come out recently, but I might be listing some games that came out ages ago. So I'm just,
Right.
heads up on that.
No worries. I think maybe one of my games is from 2025. See, I've got a giant backlog. I waited until the Switch 2 came out to buy all the games I wanted to buy in previous years. So no worries about that. These are not strictly games that came out in 2025. These are games that we played in 2025.
Well, just a side note too, do you do that where you'll pick up a game expecting to open it, but you're like, well, I haven't finished what I'm focused on yet, so I'm just gonna finish that, and it'll sit on your shelf for like the next 6 months?
100%, yes. In fact, I couldn't list a couple of the games I wanted to list because I bought them and haven't played them. So 100%.
Yo, it's like, did I play that in 2025? No, I haven't opened it yet.
Exactly. So let's start with you, since you are the guest. What is your first game? And for me, I don't know about you. For me, these are not in any particular order. It's just random games that I played. So go ahead.
So hate me if you want to. I tried to start Red Dead Redemption 2 3 different times, and with high recommendations from all my friends, and I could not get into it to start. I finally finished it this year, and by the time I got a few hours into it, I really was like hooked. It's a really great game. It's got excellent all-around storyline, excellent gameplay, really well thought out, and I started calling it Cowboys because it puts you in a mindset. It's like, I'm gonna go play Cowboys.
And I love it.
But like, I really did get it. It just took me 2 or 3 tries to start and actually get hooked. And then once I did, it was great. So I had a really great experience with Cowboys this year.
A week ago, had you told me that, I would have been upset. Like, that was the best game ever. I can't believe you took that many tries. However, just coincidentally, yesterday, I saw somebody say all of her friends struggle to get into that game because the very first level, you have to be locked in. And if you're not locked in, then you're kind of just wayward with it. And like, I don't want to focus on this. I don't want to figure out the story. I don't want to figure out the controls. So I guess you're not alone in that. Honestly, it surprised me because I was all in the very beginning. Like, plop this game down in front of me, I'm sold without knowing what it's about. But apparently not everybody felt that way. So I can understand your trepidation in the beginning. I'm glad that you persevered and tried it multiple times to get there, because it really is. It's a fascinating game.
It's so worth it.
If there were one criticism I had of it, there was too much to do. Like if you really wanted to 100% the game, all the cards you have to find, all the feathers you have to find, all the side quests you have to do, I kind of get a little bit bogged down by that. But outside of that, just as far as the main story goes and the combat and the controls and the graphics, oh, the environment, I would just sit there like it was a screensaver and just watch the flora and fauna, watch the environments, watch an eagle swoop down into the river to grab a fish and stuff like that. It's so beautiful. So good pick. I'm glad it took you. I mean, I'm sorry it took you so long to get there, but I'm glad you finally did. For me, the game that I just started playing recently is Echoes of Wisdom, and I did not expect to like this game as much as I did. I figured I would like it. I like Zelda. I'm not a super hardcore fanatic like some people are, but I like the Zelda games enough. But this game just, it gripped me from the very beginning. I just can't get enough of this game. It's one of those games where you become obsessed with it, where you might, if you're like me, you might skirt your responsibilities just to play it more, or you'll find a way to play and work at the same time and stuff like that. I can't get enough of this game. The artwork, just like the Link's Awakening remake, is so cute. It's like a chibi-esque style. I don't know if chibi is the right word, but it's just adorable to look at. But then the story too. I'm not even talking about the main story, but the side quests are just so heartfelt and endearing. Like there's this one where there's a little baby Zora who couldn't swim, and he was afraid his mom would be mad at him because his mom keeps seeming to be distant and stuff. But what's actually happening is she was finding a way to invent something to help him learn to swim. And, you know, one of the side quests is to get what she's looking for, and, you know, they reunite or whatever. And then there's another story about a snow creature named Conde. He's my favorite. His father died, and his brother left him. His brother actually became a monster, and he doesn't know that yet. He tries to find his brother, and his brother keeps like yelling at him or pushing him away and disappearing and stuff. And it's so sad. You just want to like hug this character and be like, it's okay. It's not you. I'm working on bringing him back.
Okay, so unpopular opinion. The Zelda series, I played the first one growing up, so that's kind of ingrained a little bit. But when they went to the 3D aspect of things, it kind of bounced off. There's a lot. It's a lot of puzzle driven. So if you want to compare it to like, let's say Mario Odyssey, or you know, just any of the 3D Mario games, straight platforming, you can jump. I'm picking on Zelda 64 in particular, Ocarina in particular. But like, I have tried to get into the Zelda series, and I know that they're highly recommended. And again, it's another one that just bounces off a little bit. So maybe I have to Red Dead that stuff and just try it, you know?
To be fair, I felt that way too. For me, I can't just jump into a Zelda game, with the exception of Echoes of Wisdom, which may be why I liked it so much. And as a bit of foreshadowing, there is another Zelda game on my list. But generally speaking, I have to be in a mindset to play this game, to know, like, okay, it's going to take a long time. I can't just start and stop this. I have to be focused and dialed in. And that might be the issue with you. You might have to just get your mind right to be like, okay, I know that it's not just a quick dip in and play and dip out kind of thing. You have to focus and be all in on them. So you might just have to be in the right mind space to start them. However, at the same time, I do think you should probably hand in your gamer card.
Yeah, I know. It's been said before, honestly. It's the truth. You know, this is gold, and I think it was the same team that did Mario that started Zelda, so that would be Shigeru Miyamoto's team.
Right.
And like, I mean, this is honestly, like, how can you not play it? But
so you said you liked the original. What changed? Like, wasn't the original puzzle driven too? You had to figure out where to go, and
I think that's the case. I think what it is with the first one is like, you might have to know where to go to get into one of the under levels, or you might have to know where to go or figure out where to get an item so that you can continue. But honestly, that almost feels to me like Metroidvania if it were side scrolling, in that you're going from one place to another, you're acquiring an item so that you can go back and unlock another area. The types of puzzles I'm talking about are like mind puzzles. Like, I remember there being puzzles in Ocarina, and unless I'm mistaken, where you had to like shoot something a certain way to trigger something so you could go into another room. And honestly, maybe it's just a stylistic choice. Maybe I'm just complaining to complain. I really probably should go back and retry.
There's no harm in trying again. The games are revered for a reason, but that being said, I am no stranger to not being a fan of games everybody's into. I have tried to play The Last of Us 3 or 4 times and just cannot get into it. I'll
Wow.
get through maybe 1 or 2 levels and then put it down and never think about it again. It's happened multiple times. For me, it's just honestly, for me, it's the brick. When you have to throw a brick to like distract or hurt an enemy, it's like this is stupid.
I play Guild Wars 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5 and other games with numbers at the end of the title. And both of them have different missions where they'll have you do something straightforward, or they'll have you be like, search this area for 27 minutes to find the entrance to a something, or to find the object so you can take it to some. And I'm like, why do we have to have like search and find missions? Like, those are my least favorite ones.
Same, especially with GTA 5. It seems like every DLC that comes out now has at least one searching mission, and it just kills the vibe for me. Like, I want to play GTA 5 for the over-the-top action, not to hunt around for stuff.
Can I bring up another title on my list?
Of course, it is your turn.
I have one that doesn't give the same story here, where it bounced off of me, even though it's highly acclaimed. This is the opposite. So I really like to play the Mario Golf that came out for the Switch.
I love that game too, Mario Golf Super Rush.
Yeah, and I have absolutely played that this year, even though it came out, dear goodness, like 5 years ago at this point.
4.
Well, I've played it every year. It's got like that added benefit of like having charge up shots that you can use to screw with other players. It's got a couple different game modes. I think it's a good casual golfing game. It's enjoyable. You can choose to play 3 holes or all of them, or anything in between. So it's if you only have a few minutes or if you have a little while, it's very versatile and it's just relaxing. And it's a Nintendo product, so it gives you that, ooey gooey Mario feeling where it's like, oh, this is just relaxing and happy.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to bring that up too, about you can just, unlike the Zelda series, you can just start it, play it for 5 minutes and turn it off, which is nice. I like that about that.
I mean, maybe it's not the most accurate golf game you're playing, but then go get PGA Tour or something. Like,
yeah. It's not supposed to be accurate. It's a Mario game. It's a Mario sports game.
Yeah, have you ever played Mario Teaches Typing or Mario Irons the Laundry?
Could you imagine an ironing simulator?
They're not far off.
Yeah, give it time.
And by the way, Nintendo, if an ironing simulator comes out with Mario's face on it in the next couple of years.
That's right. Yes, we want royalties. At least a special thank you too, if nothing else.
Are you aware of like Mario Aces for the Switch versus the other tennis entries, and then like Strikers versus the soccer game versus the GameCube entry? Like, are you aware of what the reception was for all of those?
I don't know anything about the tennis games. I have heard about the Strikers games. The original was well regarded. The sequel, I haven't heard as much about. On the Wii, I haven't heard much about, but I remember everybody was excited that Waluigi did the DX crotch chop. But the third one, I heard was not very good. I mean, I played it. I played it for like a week and just didn't like it. And I kind of feel like that was the general consensus that everybody else had too. It wasn't as over the top as it should have been.
Got it. And then with the tennis one, there's like a campaign you can play, like a story mode, and that's kind of interesting. And I played it for a little while, and then to be completely honest with you, my brother-in-law is insane at getting the charge on your super move meter. He's insane at nailing that every time, and he just destroyed me, and I put it down. I'm never.
No.
You ever play a game to the point where you see somebody good enough that you're like, there is no way then the amount of time I have to put into this to get that good is worth it, and you just never play it again.
Literally everybody who plays Smash Brothers, I feel that way about. I've never played that game. I played the original on the N64. I rented it from Blockbuster, and that was the last time I played it because of that reason. I just know I can't ever, it doesn't matter how much practice I put into it, I can't ever reach the level that anybody else has with this game.
Yeah, competitively they're crazy, and I do play, and I play casually, and I have a favorite character. But if you watch some of these people who play professionally, it's like it's over.
Yeah, I feel you. For me, my next pick is Bayonetta Origins. Much like Mario Golf, I feel like I'm one of two people who have this game. But unlike Mario Golf, it did not sell millions of copies. I probably already would have had an affinity for it because I love the Bayonetta lore. I've got the Bayonetta Blu-ray, I've got all the games on Switch. So I already like Bayonetta. But it's interesting to see her as a child before she becomes the character we know her as. She's a little bit timid, a little bit unsure of herself in certain areas. So that was cool to see. But the game itself is beautiful. They have beautiful watercolors. It's all framed as a storybook. Even the combat was interesting. You have to control both Bayonetta, or Cereza in this case, and Cheshire, her stuffed cat, which is possessed by a demon. And you have to control them both at once, which is a bit difficult. It's hard to get a handle on. But when I started using split Joy-Cons, it became so much fun. Because I could use my left hand to do Cereza and the right hand to play as Cheshire. But what they really should have done, what Nintendo should have done, is market this as a two-player game. It would have been perfect for that, but they didn't. It's a one-player game. And because of that, the combat can get a little annoying. I will be looking at one character and moving the other one, wondering why I'm losing health, Like I said, it was easier with the Joy-Con, but when I used the Pro Controller, it was a bit more difficult. But that aside, the game was cute. It had voice acting, it had a skill tree, and this was before DK Bonanza came out. And that's how you know nobody played this game, because I saw so many reviews of DK Bonanza where they were like, I can't believe a Nintendo game has a skill tree and voice acting. Well, you would have had you played the game. But it was cute. I really liked that game.
So that reminds me, talking about games that should have been two-player or are co-op only, that reminds me, my next pick was going to be Split Fiction. The premise is that there are two authors in the same VR simulation at the same time, but they were supposed to have separate simulations, and one of them is a sci-fi author and one is like a medieval or like a dragons style fantasy author, high fantasy, and they were supposed to be separated, but these two sets of ideas, they're acting out their ideas in VR and they're immersed fully, and the ideas keep bleeding in and out of one another. So it's like playing both styles of game at the same time or switching back and forth. And it is a co-op only game. And actually, if you want to get a hold of it, you only need to buy one copy because your friend can download the Friend Pass and play it for free with you as long as one of you that hosts has paid for the game. It's got a myriad of different styles. Every time you go into or out of a new world, there is a different style of gameplay, and sometimes there's a side-scrolling shooter, and sometimes it's a 3D platformer. And besides that, the overarching plot is also well put, so it's not just a bunch of jumbled mess either. They do give you a story to focus on, so it's very nicely done.
I have played that game. Tell me if you were like me. Did you enjoy the sci-fi levels more than the fantasy levels?
I kinda did.
The whole game is good, don't get me wrong. It's just, I'm just more into sci-fi than I am fantasy. So whenever it came to the fantasy world, it was like, okay, let's get this over with and get to the next level.
You didn't enjoy farting pigs, though? Come on.
That was a bit weird.
But I'm also a Final Fantasy guy, so the thing is that I was raised on like Final Fantasy 7 and 8, and then 9 came out. I know everybody loves 9. I'm more into sci-fi or plausible modern fantasy, like this could be our world but it's parallel, than I am into high fantasy. So I think that kind of plays into it too.
Makes sense. For my next pick, it is talking about fantasy. Super Mario Wonder. This game was amazing. The interesting thing is, it looks so easy. Like if you just play it just as is, going from start to finish, it wasn't very difficult. But when you try to 100% the game, you find all the wonder seeds, all the special areas, everything. It got so difficult. It reminded me a lot of Mario World or 3D World with all the extra hidden levels. One of those levels I took weeks and weeks and weeks trying to beat. You have to jump. You've only got a limited amount of time, but you have to jump and bounce off of all the walls and blocks. Sometimes there's one block to jump off of, but you're bouncing off of these walls while pink goop is following you. And of course, the goop is poisonous and it makes you die. I could not tell you how long I spent trying to get that thing done. But when I did, when I finally beat the level, it was like, I'm the best video game player ever.
I love it. So I had tried to play Wonder, and my first impression was these levels are short and it's easy. And then it did take me a while to realize, like, no, the fun in this game is actually going through and trying to get the 100.
Right, exactly. So if anyone out there felt that way, felt like, oh, I played the first level, it was too easy, I don't want to continue. I'm telling you, it's absolutely worth it. It's absolutely worth it. However, I'm starting to get this idea from you that you'll play one level and decide not to like it and just put the game down.
Who knew that this was actually going to be a podcast about self-discovery and maybe a little bit of therapy? I'm starting to see patterns and trends here. Maybe I can work on myself for 2026. I didn't know.
This is now, instead of Nate's video game Nook, Nate's psychology Nook. Welcome.
Now I feel kind of shamed because the last pick I was going to talk about was a bounce off, and I just didn't realize that all of my other things were also bounce offs. But Ghost of Tsushima, everybody loved it. I haven't gotten to my Red Dead Redemption 2 moment with that game yet. I'm still at the why do I care about this character? Yes, he lost everything at the very beginning of the game, and he's got to build up from nothing, and I'm sure that it's a touching story to get there. But I just don't know why I care about this person yet. And Arthur Morgan is a character you end up caring about deeply if you have any kind of soul. But I haven't gotten there to connect with this character yet from Tsushima. So and I know Ghost of Yote came out, and they're hyping that right now, or at least they've been for a little while. And so if I like this game well enough, once I get good or get to a certain point, I'm sure I will have more to go on. And I absolutely do want to go back and play the first Cowboys game because of the same reason. So it's all kind of in the same wheelhouse for me. It's a game that I started on late, and I just haven't really. I did play it this year, but only for a few hours, and I'm not quite there yet. So we'll see.
It's funny because I always have these two warring ideas in my head. One of them is I have to play everything the minute it comes out, or else I'm going to be behind. And the other one is games are supposed to be forever. When I was a kid, I didn't play Metroid until maybe 1989, years after it originally released, and I never had any shame about that. I just never got to it at that point. Even at that time at the schoolyard, there were still the rumors that Samus was a woman, and people would be like, no, that's not true, it says he in the manual. So even that amount of time later, that was still an ongoing thing. And it didn't matter that the game had been out so long. You don't have to necessarily play a game the minute it comes out. So no shame in waiting so long to play Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, yes, thank you.
My next pick, Tears of the Kingdom. When I first bought my Switch, one of the games I bought was Breath of the Wild, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It felt so expansive and immersive. And so when I got this game, I was excited to play it. I assumed it was more or less the same, but it was actually that and more. The thing that really got me was all of the contraptions I could make. You have different abilities. I don't want to spoil anything, but you have different abilities. One of them is building things and combining things. So you're in these situations where you're given certain items like wheels and a plank board, and you have to put them together to make a little cart or whatever. But the things you can make are just so massive, and you can use pretty much anything and put them together and see if it works. In fact, I bought the Switch 2. I bought the game for the Switch 1, but I bought the Switch 2 DLC, if you want to call it that. Not the official cartridge, but just the DLC of it. And you can actually trade and download other people's inventions, and it's really cool. So you can see what other people made, and some of these people are just ingenious with the stuff they think of. I could never be that creative as some of these people are. For me, it's like, oh, I see a steering wheel. Okay, here's a car. But them, it's like, here's a giant rocket ship. Oh, all right. But the other cool thing about the Switch 2 thing is it has a little map on the Nintendo app, and it shows you where all the things are. All the caves, all the treasures, all like pretty much literally anything in the game. And on one hand, I guess you could say it's cheating, but for me, it felt more like orienteering. Like I have an actual map that I'm following as I'm playing this game. And that was a lot of fun. It added a whole new dimension.
Yeah, so I have no experience with those titles yet, but I will say that with the original Zelda, I thought it was really fun when it came out that you had the physical paper map in front of you, and they actually gave you a full color print, and there was an area that you had to figure out. So there was a blank area on the map, and you had to draw it in yourself, but you could trace along with the game where you were from screen to screen. And then like the enemies, I don't think were on there. It was just the map of the backgrounds, so you could keep track and follow along. That was a really cool idea, and I really enjoyed that as a kid too.
You know, I don't know if I would have the patience for that. Like I don't even have the patience for the original GTA 3 because there was no GPS. A psychologist mentioned somewhat recently the differences between video game players from the 80s and 90s versus video game players now. And I'm not really going to go into all of it. It could be its own podcast, honestly. But one of the things he said was games these days help you along a lot more than they did back then. And you're talking about Zelda, how you had to write your own map. And I remember with Metroid, I could never get into the Metroid series for that reason because I had no idea where to go or what to do. And I don't want to write notes. I don't want to jot things down. I play games to have fun, not to study, not to do extra homework.
How much work is involved in this? Dude, you had to memorize those neighborhoods in Grand Theft Auto 3. That was it.
And the fact that you could do that makes me think you would enjoy any of the other Zelda games. You just have to, like I said earlier, get your mind right and get just focused in on it.
All right, so this year, and it did come out this year, and for the Switch 2, I played DK Bonanza. And I have heard some crapping on Nintendo about how they released the Switch 2 and how there's not a lot of content to start. But DK Bonanza, let me tell you how I've been explaining this. It is a full-blown Donkey Kong game, full-blown 3D platformer a la Mario Odyssey, mixed with the destructive properties of Minecraft. And the only reason I haven't finished it yet is because they will give you an arrow that's over there, and then you're clearly supposed to go there, and then they tell you how to smash stuff, and it is impossible to stop smashing stuff. I'm like, but there's more gold in here, and I can get down farther. And I know I'm supposed to be over there, but I'm having fun over here. So like a half hour goes by, and you're like, why am I still in the same room?
Oh, yes, it's absolutely true. I had the little sonar ability, and I maxed it out. So I would see things that were not close to me at all. But then I would just start, like, chasing it, like, trying to find it, hunting it down, instead of doing what I'm supposed to do. And then the more I played it, I would deliberately go the opposite way from what it told me to do, because I didn't want to get closer to ending that level or ultimately ending the game. I absolutely loved that game. So that is our list. I would like to thank very much Ted.
Yes, well, based on our psychologist session today, I feel as though I have a problem and I need to work on me. Thank you for opening my eyes today.
I really hope you paid me for this.
I gotta go.